Businesses in Grand RP have the power to make you a millionaire overnight, or they can leave you broke and worthless the second you hit that buy button. And you can't predict which way this economic pendulum's gonna swing unless you do your research first. And so to clear up some of this confusion, since there are literally dozens of businesses to choose from, I've decided to make this video talking about the 10 most profitable businesses in Grand RP that you must buy. And the first thing you need to know about businesses in Grand RP is they function very differently from the ones in vanilla GTA 5 Online. This isn't a place where you can hop in and become the proud owner of a $2 million guided missile submarine on your first day. In fact, making your first $1 million as a beginner will take a substantial amount of time, as you'll have to work your way up the ladder with blue-collar jobs like truck driver, oil rig worker, fireman, etc., until you have the cash to buy your own business. You'll have to be employed by someone else's business before you earn enough money to buy your own place. And that's honestly very true to real life, because in Grand RP, all transfer of goods and services take place between actual players, and the meta is constantly evolving, so unless you log in regularly and play the game, you won't know which businesses are the best. However, there are some evergreen businesses that will always be in demand irrespective of the meta, and these businesses are evergreen because of two very important factors: demand and location. Demand is the primary factor that drives business profitability, because if you own a gas station, chip tuning shop, or 24/7 store, anything that people use for their daily needs in Grand RP, you'll make a steady income every time you log in. And then the second most important factor is location, and this one's pretty self-explanatory. Like, for example, you can't buy a juice shop all the way up in Paleto Bay and then complain when you don't get many customers at all. And here's another quick tip: before you even begin grinding for your first business, I highly recommend that you join a family first. Not only will this give you a major income boost, as you'll have full access to the family resources at all times, but also there are certain businesses in Grand RP that you can't purchase unless you're part of a family first. And if you're new to Grand RP, the easiest way to join a family is through my link in the description as well as pinned comment, not just because it helps me out personally, which it definitely does, but because you guys will get a hefty chunk of in-game cash, as well as a few grand coins for free simply by using my link. And if you join English server number 1, you can also get a head start by joining my family, the Hazard Gang, which I mentioned earlier. This gives you access to the family house, so you won't be homeless anymore, and you'll even get to drive some of the family cars, which is way better than using that rusty old rat loader that the game gives you. Plus, as a bonus for joining with my link, you get to pick between one of 3 luxury cars that will be yours to keep for an entire week. By the way, the server recently added support for the expanded and enhanced edition of GTA 5, which is really awesome because from what I've seen, most other RP servers have yet to add support for the new version of GTA 5, and this means you don't have to downgrade if you want to play RP with your friends anymore. So now is definitely the best time to join Grand RP if you haven't done so already. Alright, now since you understand how businesses function in Grand RP, let me tell you which ones you should actually buy. And there's no easier recommendation for a beginner than the office. This is kind of similar to the CEO office in regular GTA 5 Online, but here in Grand RP, you don't grind crates at the warehouse or sell mixed goods. No, what you have to do with the office is you hand out jobs to other players, and that's only possible if you have the level 3 office, which costs a whopping $50 million to obtain. But before that, you'll have to get the level 2 office as well, which itself is worth $20 million. So in total, you're spending a little over $70 million before you can start hiring people and giving out public contracts. But in the end, it's going to be worth it because you can easily make $1 million a day, 100% passively just by owning an office, and you'll easily make that initial investment back in just 2 months. So this is how it works. Every day, you give your office a name, kind of like a public ad, and you post 6 contracts on the job board. Each contract pays $10,000 on average, and servers have hundreds of players cycling through them daily, and these players usually do all 6 contracts at a time. So as long as 16 to 20 people are doing your contracts daily, that's all you need to successfully earn $1 million. Pretty easy, right? Car sharing is the next business on my list, and it's probably the most hands-off business in the entire game, as all you do is list some cars for the sharing service and watch millions of dollars roll into your bank account every week. But there is a huge problem with this business that makes it impossible to obtain for new players, and that problem is availability. Even if you somehow ignore the fact that you have to pay $500 million to almost $1 billion, that's right, $1 billion for a car sharing business. On top of that, you still have to deal with the lack of purchasable properties. You see, most car sharing businesses in the good parts of town are already owned by someone, and on the rare occasion when they are put on sale in some public auction, they're almost immediately snagged by experienced players from wealthy families. The third business on my list is probably the most unique of them all because it's not actually a business. It's a scam. You're technically scamming the system by buying license plates for cheap and selling them at outrageous prices on the marketplace. And this is how it works. First, you get yourself a bunch of little BMX bikes that cost like $1,000 a piece. Then you go to the San Andreas Highway Patrol office and get a license plate for your BMX bike. Yes, bicycles have license plates on Grand RP. Don't ask me why, just go along with it for now. After you've bought a license plate by paying something like 50 or 60 bucks, because the plate value is coded to be exactly 5% of your vehicle value, what you do is repeat this process for every BMX bike that you own, and then simply head over to the licensing center and choose the sell your license plate option. This is where people go when they want to choose a license plate number for their car, and you can list your license plate at approximately the same value that everyone else has listed them for. Don't undercut too much, or you'll devalue the whole operation and make it worse for everyone else. But don't list your plate at $1 million either, as you won't sell a single one that way. Usually you can get anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000 per plate, and if you buy 50 or 100 BMX bikes, that's easily over $200,000 of profit right there. Chip tuning is also one of the most heavily used businesses in Grand RP because just like GTA Online, people over here are constantly buying and modifying cars. Everybody wants to own their personalized vehicle with new bodywork, performance mods, paint jobs, etc. And if you own a chip tuning center, you'll be raking in the profits like crazy. Chip tuning tackles the performance modification aspect of a vehicle customization, and once people have installed new hoods, fenders, wheels, window tints, and spoilers, your shop is where they'll go next because they also need their ride to go fast on top of looking cool. And unlike vanilla GTA where some NPC mods your cars, every chip tuning shop in Grand RP is owned and operated by real players and real people, and they usually communicate among each other to coordinate prices on parts, which is why you'll find that car mods cost roughly the same no matter which chip tuning center you visit. Let's say if you buy a chip tune shop in Paleto Bay, it's obviously going to cost less as that's a worse location compared to the city, but you'll still end up spending over $300 million because that's just how much these shops cost nowadays. And for one that's centrally located in the middle of Los Santos, it's going to cost approximately $1 billion. But you're also looking at profits of $2 to $6 million a day because vehicle modding is a huge part of Grand RP, and players will often spend several $1 million on a single supercar, so you're going to make back that initial investment in a few months, no problem. Next, we've got the juice shop, and this is actually one of the more affordable businesses in Grand RP. It still costs $25 million plus, but hey, at least we're talking about tens of millions here and not hundreds of millions or even $1 billion like certain other businesses. Once you own a juice shop, you'll be able to sell juices and shakes that boost player stats like attack and defense for a brief period of time. These are essentially in-game power-ups, and that's why there's always going to be lots of demand for juices. And if you have a central location, you can charge people more for your product because the only other option is driving halfway across the map. And to cut down on your operating costs, what you can do is own a garden that supplies fresh produce directly to your personal juice shop. You'll need fruits and vegetables like apples, carrots, spinach, strawberries, mangoes, pumpkins, etc. And if you don't have a garden, you'll have to buy these from other players. The gas station is another excellent business that's always going to be relevant here, at least while the internal combustion engine is still alive, because vehicles in Grand RP have actual gas tanks. They don't run forever, and once that fuel indicator gauge is in the red, you know you have to make a stop at the nearest gas station. Plus, this is one of the few businesses that still gets a decent amount of customers, even if it's on the outskirts of the map, because there are plenty of people who play that don't keep an eye on their fuel level, and when their Dodge Viper inevitably runs out of gas in the middle of Paleto Bay, they'll have no other option and no issue paying whatever it is that you're charging at your gas station. Still, you don't want to price your fuel too high as that will harm sales rather than helping it, of course. Keep your prices reasonable and the gas station will generate a nice steady flow of cash over the next several years for you. By the way, you also need $100 to $200 million to purchase a gas station, so keep that in mind before you decide to buy one. Just like gas stations, 24/7 convenience stores are always going to be in high demand because people will always need to buy, well, stuff. Backpacks, batteries, solar panels, SIM cards, whatever. You can sell anything you want at these stores apart from guns, and that's because we have a separate store for firearms called the gun store, and you can own one of those too if you want. Prices for owning a convenience store range from $50 to $120 million depending on the location, and this is definitely one of the businesses that you don't want to cheap out on when it comes to the location, because a convenience store in the middle of Los Santos can be an excellent moneymaker, while one that's out on the corner of the map way up north will rarely see any customers at all. ATMs are also a business that heavily benefit from being in a good location, and while they're not as profitable as gun shops or auto shops, you can still make a decent bit of money with these machines. The way ATMs work in this game is you have people coming in to withdraw and deposit money all the time, but every time they use an ATM, there's a transaction fee that gets added to the amount, and that transaction fee is what you receive as profit. The biggest benefit of owning your ATM is that it will continue to print money even when you're offline, so you can log in, supply your ATM, play whatever content you want in Grand RP, and log off. Meanwhile, every time someone withdraws money from your ATM, you get a cut of that. The bigger the transaction, the bigger your cut. Ideally, you want to place your ATM near hospitals or auto shops, as those are exactly the kinds of places where people are going to spend lots of money. You can also make tons of money by owning a parking lot, because unlike GTA 5 Online and the vanilla version, where you park your car actually matters in Grand RP, and you can't just leave it on the side of the road because people will steal it. There's no magic teleportation either, so you'll actually have to walk up to your car and get inside. You can't just spawn it next to you from the interaction menu. And finally, to conclude this list, we've got the gun stores. Why are these so important? Well, Grand RP is a GTA-based game, and in Grand Theft Auto, everyone does two things: driving and shooting. We've already covered driving with our chip tuning shop and gas stations, but for shooting, you're gonna need guns. Lots of guns, because there are all sorts of criminal families and street gangs in Grand RP, as well as hostile players who might try to steal your stuff. So open up a gun store and watch the profits fly in. Sometimes you'll also get bulk orders from families who want to order dozens of SMGs, pistols, and rifles for everyone in the group, so you stand to make millions of dollars with a single order sometimes, and that's why it's a great business. But that's all I have for this video. These are some of my favorite businesses in Grand RP, and each one of them has the potential to make you millions of dollars in profit. So if you're tired of driving taxis and delivering parcels, if you have enough cash saved up in your bank account, you can try out some of these businesses to make lots of money in a really short amount of time. Thank you so much for watching. Drop a like on this video if you guys enjoyed, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new, and as always, I'll catch you guys in the next GTA 5 video. Adios, amigos.